Please welcome Executive Vice President and Chief Customer Experience Officer, Liz Santoni.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to day 2. I thought G2 yesterday was an amazing day of innovation. And today we're going to continue that with another amazing day of innovation for you. So let's get into it. So right now, as you're sitting here in this room, there are networks being mapped by AI at machine speed, finding vulnerable devices, finding those end-of-life vulnerable devices in minutes. So my job is to make sure that when that happens to your network, you already saw it coming. I'm not here to talk about the future of AI, but what I am here to talk about is the boring problems it's already fixing for you in your environment, and we're just getting started. In technology, windows open and close. The organizations that move decisively inside of them are the ones that define what is coming next. That window is not waiting, and neither is the threat. And it is shorter than many organizations realize. I mean, the complexity is not just growing, you would agree. It is continuing to accelerate, actually. If you look at last year's Talos report, 40% of top targeted vulnerabilities directly impacted end-of-life devices. About 32% were over a decade old, and 23% were targeting the very edge of your network. Last day of support hardware used to be just an operational drag, and now they're ground zero for a new generation of attack. You heard this from Chuck yesterday, you heard this from G2 yesterday. Mythos is changing the game. AI-enabled attacks can now map your entire network in minutes at machine speed, finding those vulnerable decade-old devices. So human speed reactive defense is no longer viable. This is the Mythos moment, and the question is, how are you meeting it? Because meeting it requires something completely different, because it requires complete visibility into your environment, the ability to actually understand that risk in real time, and the intelligence to move from reacting to predicting. The reality is, all of us are facing this like massive patch avalanche. We're getting a huge onslaught of vulnerabilities that Mythos has exposed, and we're figuring out how to prioritize it. But the organizations that don't move decisively inside of this window, they're not going to get a second chance. I hear the same things every day, every time, spreadsheet after spreadsheet. But you still don't have confidence in terms of what are the assets that you really have in your environment. What is covered, what is not covered, what you decommissioned 2 years ago, but it's still showing up in your environment. That's not information. It's educated guesswork. And you're making critical security decisions on top of that guesswork. And then you have support calls, and I'm sure a lot of you can resonate with it. You're spending the first 35 to 40 minutes before a single line of troubleshooting is done on just collecting basic data. It's show tag, log files, uploading, waiting. You're explaining your environment to an engineer, and you're thinking, this engineer should have known my context already. And now that the threat is moving at machine speed, that 35 to 40 minutes is no longer a time that any of us can actually afford. That friction, the spreadsheets, the guesswork, the time lost before a single line of troubleshooting is done, that is what Cisco IQ was built to eliminate. Here's the honest version of what's been happening. We're asking humans, or we have been asking humans, to do something machines should have been doing for years. That's not a human's job. And now we have a better option, and the era of guesswork is over. The foundation to meet that is already in place. That is Cisco IQ. We went GA over 5 weeks ago, and as of this morning, we have 2,036 customers already onboarded. Last week, Dev, who's our chief legal officer, asked me, and I said, we'll get about 800 maybe, something like that. Amazing work by a lot of teams. A special shout out to the CX teams. This just puts a whole lot of pressure on us. It's like, do more, do it faster. Cisco IQ, the way I want you to think about it, is the delivery vehicle for all of your support services, your professional services. Cisco IQ is also integrated with Cisco Cloud Control that DJ and G2 talked about yesterday. So everything that you see in Cisco IQ is also available in Cisco Cloud Control. It's tied to your services entitlements, of course. So I picked 3 things to show you what these 2,000-something customers are already seeing. 1, seeing everything in your environment completely in real time, catching the problem before the business sees it, and when something does go wrong, and it will, a support experience that never starts from 0, it always starts from your context. So 3 areas. 2 of your peers are actually going to join me on stage and talk about the first 2, and I'll show you the third. And it starts with complete visibility. So here's a question I want you to sit with. Do you have a complete and accurate inventory of every asset that's in your environment and its current security status right now? Not as of your last audit, right now. Because that lag that exists in your environment between what your team can actually see and what is actually there is no longer a gap you can afford. And that's where Cisco IQ starts. Broad visibility into your Cisco environment, a single, always current view of all of your assets, your hardware assets, your software assets, your cryptographic assets. No fragmentation, no lag. So from partial visibility to complete clarity, this is where your readiness starts. Now, the best proof is never in a slide. It's about hearing from someone who runs infrastructure at the scale and made the decision to change how they operate. And that's Scott Malone, who's VP of IT at Geodis.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
The floor
Good morning.
is yours.
So at Geodis, we offer end-to-end supply chain solutions, including freight forwarding, contract logistics, distribution express, delivery, and road transport. We experience intense competitive pressures that demand operational excellence at every level. And in order to stay competitive, we need to operate within thin margins. The network is the backbone of Geodis supply chain, and the stakes are very real. 30 minutes of unplanned downtime can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost throughput, SLA penalties, and recovery labor. Downtime that delays a shipment does not just affect us, it affects our customers' reputation with their customers. Uptime is not a metric, it's a promise.
That's a bold promise, so I'd love to hear how you're delivering that bold promise with IQ.
Yeah, absolutely. What that means is it's maintaining a hardened, patched, and audit-ready infrastructure across a global footprint, proactively tracking hardware health, EOL status, and refresh cycles at scale, knowing exactly what equipment exists, where it exists, and what condition it is in at all times. And with Mythos, all of these issues are coming into sharp focus. My board and leadership team are asking, how are we protected? How are we identifying and managing the vulnerabilities Mythos has exposed? For the first time that I can remember, I have complete landscape visibility into all of the LDOS vulnerabilities, and most importantly, a clear action plan. When I first saw what Cisco IQ surfaced, my first reaction was like, this cannot be right. This is too much, too fast, and too clear. It felt too good to be true. And then I just realized, this is what it looks like when the system actually knows your environment.
I love hearing that, but I think the audience would love to hear, like, walk us through what you needed to see before you were going to put this in production.
Yeah, so to maintain uptime and manage LDOS equipment, 3 things are non-negotiable. First, API integration. The ability to connect with our internal automation platforms. Number 2, extensive manageability, full centralized visibility into the asset landscapes from the remote distribution sites to the core data centers, with the ability to monitor health, compliance, and performance in a single pane of glass. No blind spots. And finally, number 3, LDOS management, a phased, actionable roadmap to identify and replace LDOS equipment without touching production. Because in our environment, the fix cannot create the next problem.
So you're going to show us kind of a recorded demo.
Absolutely. So now I am going to show you in a demo how we're using Cisco IQ at Geodis for complete landscape visibility. With AI-powered attacks becoming more sophisticated, the risk of someone triggering an exploit is higher than ever. So it's critical for us to get older hardware out of the network before it goes into support. We need to be able to patch vulnerabilities the second they pop up. So let's look at how Cisco IQ helps us stay ahead of that. So right here, I'm looking at my entire estate of 12,000 devices. With just a quick filter, I can pull up every device hitting its end of support date within the next 12 months. Just like that, I've narrowed it down to 551 devices. So let's take it a step further with AI Assistant. I am currently working with our site manager in Brentwood, Tennessee, to plan our lifecycle refresh for the coming year. I can identify the devices hitting end of life at that specific site, categorized by device type and product ID. This has a huge impact on budget planning. I can even generate an AI-powered report that breaks everything down by product ID. Now, I have a clear, precise view of exactly what we need to replace in Tennessee, which helps me nail down the budget and get those older devices out of the network before they lose support. The visibility Cisco IQ provides is transforming how we run our business. And that's just one example. We are proactively keeping our infrastructure healthy and managing our infrastructure lifecycle, getting full visibility into the hardware lifecycle status across our global footprint, supporting our compliance posture by identifying gear past recommended support windows.
So what changed? Early results?
Remarkable, exciting and remarkable. You know, the faster, clearer insight into full device population and across all of our lifecycle metrics and across all Geodis locations. And this is just the beginning. As we continue to expand in this competitive market, we will continue to drive efficiencies across all of our assets.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Scott. Too good to be true. I actually like hearing that every time a customer sees Cisco IQ for the first time. But here's what I would say. Complete visibility is good. It's not enough. The hardest part is connecting what you see before something breaks. You know, think about the last outage that your team dealt with. Not the one that had no warning, the one that in hindsight had every warning. There was a trail, there were multiple trails. It's just that nobody connected them in time. There are 3 scenarios I hear about constantly. The first one is around expired certificates. I'm sure a lot of you have already faced it. The certificate was in the system, the expiry date was known. Nobody just flagged it as urgent until the application went down. The second one is misconfigurations. A change went in weeks ago, everything looked fine. And then under a specific load condition, that misconfiguration became the outage. The trail was there from the moment that change went in. The third one is known and fixed bugs, which we deal with every day. The fix was there, the advisory was published, the affected devices were in the environment, but between everything people have to do, a ton of patches, the demands of the day, it just never made it to the top of the list until that bug caused the outage. Trails that nobody connected before it was too late. Cisco IQ connects those trails before the outage, not after. And to show you what that looks like when the stakes are absolute, when there are zero maintenance window and downtime is not an option, we have John Honemeyer, who's Director of Data Network Security at Global Foundries. Welcome, John.
Thanks, Liz.
Take it away.
Semiconductor manufacturing is one of the most demanding operational environments on the planet. And at Global Foundries, that network isn't just infrastructure. It's the digital nerve center of our manufacturing floor. Every sensor, every robot, every precision tool that converts raw materials into the silicon that drives our planet, it all relies on that network. And downtime is not an option. We operate 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And there are no maintenance windows. Let me repeat that. Zero maintenance windows. And here's the reality every manufacturer faces. As technology evolves, infrastructure ages. And that gap between what you're running and what is actually supported, that's not just an operational risk. It's a security exposure. And in our environment, that has to be managed before it's felt. I've been in this industry long enough to know that reacting to issues after they happen, that's no longer viable. You can't navigate what's coming with a map when what you really need is a GPS. So we were asking ourselves, what if we could see problems before they happen? What if our infrastructure could tell us exactly what needs attention and why? Enter Cisco IQ. But I want to be clear, this is a philosophy shift. We're talking about moving from reactive firefighting to proactive, intelligent operations. We've moved beyond manual, time-consuming investigations to perform precise inventory analysis. We know exactly which devices are vulnerable, which ones are approaching LDOS, and we can see what the impact would be if a zero-day attack hit our devices tomorrow morning. And with Mythos raising the stakes, that visibility isn't just valuable. It's the difference between a surgical response and a blunt force reaction that causes a production shutdown. Instead of broad remediation that risks disrupting the fabs, we respond precisely. Specific devices, specific configurations, specific vulnerabilities, all while keeping production running.
So zero maintenance windows. I'd love to hear how Cisco IQ helps you manage that.
Absolutely. Let me show you an example of what that looks like in practice and how we're actually using Cisco IQ to proactively identify and mitigate potential security vulnerabilities. Now, I can't show vulnerabilities in our real environment for obvious reasons, but here's an example of what that looks like. Cisco IQ makes it simple to pinpoint exactly which devices are exposed to a vulnerability. You can see here that I can just drill down, see specific details on threats, and instantly know my next move. I can also leverage the AI assistant to walk me through the entire journey. I'll tell it, hey, I think I'm seeing a defect on this device. Can you confirm it's vulnerable? And it does. It even flags other devices across the network that have the same exposure, so I know where to focus my attention. I can ask for workarounds too. For instance, with this web server vulnerability, it suggests turning off the server to mitigate the risk. However, I actually need that server running for my business, so I can't just shut it down. I ask it for other options, and it points me straight to a software upgrade. Now I'm asking for the lowest software version that includes the fix, and it immediately confirms that version 17.94a will do the trick. And just like that, I've got a clear path to get this vulnerability out of my network. It's really been a game changer. I have all this critical info right at my fingertips. With Cisco IQ, and without having to open an attack case or consult experts.
I would love to know results. That's what we live for, customer outcomes.
Absolutely. So, honestly, the results for us have been significant. First, we're proactively managing end-of-life devices and lifecycle planning. We're turning what used to be budget crises into strategic planning exercises. And second, we've drastically reduced the time to assess zero-day impact on our network. What used to take days of investigation now takes hours or less. And third, we're performing temporal modeling, and we're doing that to see risk profiles, licensing impacts. We're even running refresh scenarios. We're strengthening our business cases and operational planning in ways that we couldn't have imagined. But really, this is just the beginning. What we've accomplished with network infrastructure is just the first steps of our journey. We're now building something even more ambitious, a fully integrated, AI-powered observability platform across our entire IT ecosystem. One that doesn't just detect problems, it actually predicts them and reacts. So at GlobalFoundries, we're proving that mission-critical environments can transition from reactive legacy systems to proactive AI-powered operations, and we can do that without massive disruption.
Awesome. Hey, a big thank you to two of my co-presenters, John and Scott. Thank you. John, you know the moment you said that line, I was going to steal it, a GPS versus a map. It's going to show up in all my presentations. So I just want to say, that is the clearest way I've heard anyone describe what IQ changes. Here's the way I'm thinking about it, is you were never lacking the data. You had the data. You just didn't have a system that knew what to do with it. So you have the visibility, you have the foresight, but the reality is things will change. So I want you to think about the last time you had a support experience that actually started with full context instead of from zero. And it brings me to my third area. So the change that we're making is the moment a attack case opens, your full environment is already there. Your topology, your config history, your prior cases, it's pre-populated before anyone starts. I mean, think about what that replaces. It replaces that 35 to 40 minutes that you spend, your team spends upfront, pulling logs, running diags, uploading files while the business is watching before a single line of troubleshooting even happens. Here's what it looks like right now. It's like a VPN tunnel goes down, 1,000 employees get locked out, the operator opens a case in Cisco IQ. Because IQ already knows that device, everything is already gathered. The case opens with full context, not from scratch. And when our engineer actually joins that call, our AI has already routed the case to the right engineer, and it does happen 88% of the time. So when they engage, they're not asking you what's broken, they're already starting to troubleshoot. Here's the thing, your engineer does not brief TAC. TAC briefs itself. It's nothing lost in a handoff, nothing repeated in an escalation, nothing starts from zero. All of these capabilities that we talked about here are running in production. A system that works before you ask, resolves before you feel it, and never feels like it starts from zero. That's Cisco IQ today. So let me show you what's coming in July. The first one is quantum-ready assessment. With Harvest Now Decrypt Later attacks, you're already under attack. So we build the capability to help you identify your exposure, assess your readiness, and build a phased plan. The second one is Cisco IQ on-premises air-gap deployment mode. Same intelligence, your environment, your rules. The third one, and this is a feature that a lot of customers have asked for, peer benchmarking. Your actual posture against your actual peers, not just a generic report. And this month, we will have resilient infrastructure services for the post-Mythos world. This enables you to actively identify vulnerabilities, modernize your infrastructure capabilities, and deploy an agentic response. It's a three-phased approach. By the way, this is not just in response to a single model like Mythos. It's about mitigating a new generation of AI-generated risk. And it's available to you as part of your standard and signature support tiers as well. Windows open and close. The organizations that move decisively inside them get to decide what comes and shape what comes next. When you see what Cisco IQ surfaces about your own environment the first time, fully in real time, the reaction is, this can't be right, it's too good to be true. And then you realize it's just what it looks like when the system actually knows your environment. Everyone can access Cisco IQ. It is available as part of your services contract. It's also available to you as part of Cisco Cloud Control. You've always had the map. Now you have the GPS. Use it. You can access it at iq.cisco.com or from the QR code on the screen. The era of guesswork is over. With that, I'm going to hand it over to G2 for the next round of amazing innovations on day 2. Thank you.
All right, how's everyone doing? You ready to have some fun? We're going to have a lot more demos today. We're going to have a lot of fun. So yesterday, if there's one message that you we changing the slides? I could present Liz's slides, but she's way better at it. Okay, great. Yesterday, if there's one message that you take away from us, is that we are an integrated platform that's a co-designed full stack. The core foundation is silicon and optics. We build systems on top of that. We have compute, data. We have custom models for networking, for security, for time series. We've got applications and agents wrapped with security and observability. And there's no better illustration and manifestation of this platform than Cisco Cloud Control. You saw it yesterday. We've spent an enormous amount of time in trying to simplify and reimagine operations for you. So the team put together a great video, and I thought I'd start by showing you the video. So let's take a look. So yesterday I had the privilege of talking to many of you, and there was so many of you that came to me and said, hey, this is amazing that I can actually now have codecs right within Cloud Control, and I can start building my own applications within Cloud Control. So that was something that I heard a lot of enthusiasm about. And so, as we start to think about that, one of the reasons why you build these applications, you want to drive outcomes. And the outcomes that we talked about yesterday were these three outcomes, which is we want to make sure that we can help you build out the AI-ready data centers. We want to make sure that you have future-proof workplaces and that you have a fully resilient infrastructure. Now, what we've done at Cisco is we haven't just talked about this as a PowerPoint slide. We have organized our entire company around it. So in my organization, there's one person that's actually in charge of AI-ready data centers. There's one person in charge of future-proof workplaces, and there's one person in charge of digital resilience. So what I thought I'd do is have that individual and their teams come up and start showing you the kind of possibilities of the things that we can do. And by the way, there's one other thing you'll pick up over here. Every demo that you see today will actually originate and start from Cloud Control, right? So let's start by having Tom Gillis, my good friend and someone who runs our data center business as well as the security business. Come on up, Tom.
G2.
How are you, buddy?
How are you?
Good, good. So what are you going to show us today?
The power of the platform, right? We've talked about it. Integration can do remarkable things. There's three things that we're going to show everybody.
Yep.
We're going to show an integration that can bring together the networking world of a Kubernetes environment with the networking world of a VM environment, all in one frame of glass, all controlled by Cloud Control. Then we're going to talk about I think one of the more interesting innovations that Cisco's delivered, which is Live Protect. And let's riff on that a tiny bit. In my opinion, Live Protect is not just a feature. Live Protect is a step towards a change that we together, meaning everyone in this room, a change we need to make, which is a new operating model for infrastructure. The old operating model of let's build a data center design, let's prove that design, harden it, deploy it, and then try never to change it, right? That philosophy has got to change in a post-Mythos world.
Things are changing constantly.
We're going to bring the CI/CD kind of cloud operating principles of lots of little changes. We're We're going to bring that to data center infrastructure.
Yep.
So this is a big deal, right? This is not just a feature, this is a principle. But we need everyone in the room to help us, right? Because this is a mindset shift. We're going to give you the tools to bring these rapid, smaller changes into the infrastructure, and we need you to lean in and adopt and think differently about how you manage your gear. So Live Protect is a big deal. We're going to see it live, in action here. And G2, one of the things you and I were talking about down below is where are we at with Live Protect? So one of the things I think is great about Live Protect is that many people in this room are already using it. So we have more than 1,000 customers that have downloaded the NXOS software that has this Live Protect capability built in. You probably don't even know. That's the whole point. We want to make it frictionless, super easy to deploy. 1,000 customers that are Live Protect enabled, and we have 2 customers where we've actually given them shields that are running in production.
ServiceNow is one of them, right?
ServiceNow joined us yesterday at the breakout and was talking about a data center running switches and infrastructure with Live Protect enabled. So we're going to see a demo of what that means today, and it's pretty exciting. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is how we're infusing security into the fabric of the network and making it just really, really easy to deploy things like firewalls for segmentation. So enough jibber jabber, let's actually show it, huh?
That's true, but let me actually tell people, because the first time you and I met, how long was it, 5 years now?
Yeah, 4, yeah.
4 years? 4 years ago.
At RSA.
And we were having dinner, and Tom says, Jeetu, we got to make sure you fuse security into the fabric of the network.
Yeah.
And you've actually made that happen, so congratulations to you.
Thank you, it's the power of the platform, right? And I think when we do it, we can transform how everyone uses security and make it just way, way, way easier. All right. Proof is in the pudding. So we're fortunate today to have Shweta, who's one of the leaders from the Nexus team, Director of Product Management, and a consummate networking professional. Shweta's going to walk us through a demonstration of all these technologies.
By the way, Tom, I know you know this, but she's a rock star.
Well, let's let her do her thing, and then I think it'll speak for itself.
You will all see why she's a rock star. Go ahead, Shweta.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jeetu. Thanks for having me here today. Now, for our first demo, I'm going to showcase how we are bringing unified visibility and policy across Nexus One and Kubernetes environments. Our journey today begins in Cisco Cloud Control. Now, when you first log into Cisco Cloud Control, what you get to see is a single unified view of your entire global data center network footprint. Now, Jeetu, we heard you speak about this extensively yesterday.
Shweta, so that's the global view of everything that's running. Can you drill down into details about like device inventory? Can you show us what's what?
Yes, Tom. Let's get to see the inventory view here. So when I navigate into the inventory view, what you see here is it provides a centralized, filtered perspective of your assets across all your sites. It also provides insights into the health, the reachability, the compliance, and the PSAT impact of all your devices from one single view.
And by the way, just so everyone's not confused, what you're seeing with inventory over here and the view that Shweta is showing is the ones which are with associated to a controller.
Correct.
What Liz just showed was the inventory of things that are available and entitled but not associated.
Correct, and we sync those two.
Yeah,
so we're going to give you a comprehensive view of what you've got, what's in support, what's not in support, what's the status of that. And I'm going to argue in this post-Mythos world, that's the hardest part.
Yep.
Just figuring out, what do I got? Where do my holes are, okay? And then we're going to show you great ways that we can actually protect this. So Shweta, let's drill down into a detail. What's happening in one of our data centers?
So let's go back to the topology view here, and I'll zoom into one of these environments. I'm going to click on this Miami campus right here, and let's take a closer look. Now we are inside Nexus dashboard without having to re-log in, right? Now what you see here is a standard spine leaf fabric, and to this fabric is connected a complex Kubernetes AI cluster. Now, this is exactly where the challenge begins, right? For most NetOps teams, this is the end of line of visibility. What you see here is what they see. They see the fabric, they see the connectivity to the cluster, but once this traffic enters inside this cluster, this Kubernetes environment becomes a complete black box.
Okay, Shweta, so what you're saying is this view shows us what's happening in the data center, but that little tiny green icon down the bottom, that's actually a complex application with lots of moving parts, but the network can't see it?
That's right, Tom. They do not see what the platform teams get to see, right? So there is a clear disconnect in visibility across both these environments, and what that results in is a lot of operational friction and finger pointing, right?
All right, can you show us the power of the Cisco platform and solve this problem?
Absolutely. So let me show you what we have done to actually bridge this visibility gap. So watch what happens when I click here.
Boom.
There. This AI Kubernetes environment is no longer a black box. And we can see that complete path all the way from the pod to the fabric to the external services.
Okay,
And
G2, you talk to customers all the time,
Yep.
right? Everybody has some mixture of VMs and containers.
That's right.
What's the trend there?
The trend is that you actually are starting to see a skyrocketing amount of Kubernetes containers because of AI workloads.
Right, that's all Kube
You
as well.
still have VMware workloads as well.
And we'll probably have it forever,
Yep.
right? So bringing those two worlds together is really powerful, Shweta.
Exactly, Tom. And visibility is just half the story, right? We haven't even spoken about policy. So let's talk about control, right? Now, historically, we have established that NetOps teams and platform teams have always operated in silos. What that means is that they've created their own workflows, their own policies, and their own operational models. And that obviously resulted in a lot of fragmented security across these environments. But now, with our integration into Isovalent, what we have done is we are able to synchronize these policies as well across these two domains. So let me show you how that's done. I'm going to click on security right here, and what you see are 3 policies. Now, 2 of these are traditional fabric policies, but the first policy that you see right here, this is a security policy that was created in the Kubernetes environment, but now Nexus Dashboard has a way to provision it and also enforce it across the entire network. Now, when I click on that policy, what you see now is an end-to-end flow fully validated all the way from the pod to the external service.
That's really nice. So if
cool.
I've got a PCI requirement,
Yep.
and it covers an application that has VMs and containers, I can implement that with one pane of glass, no more manual syncing, spreadsheets, et cetera.
Exactly, Tom. We have eliminated all that cumbersome manual operation across both these environments and have fully automated this workflow. What's also nice is that this architecture extends across sites, so when the workload moves, the policy moves with it.
G2, you know what this is? This is simplicity without sacrificing sophistication, right?
That's fantastic.
Power of the platform. Great. Okay, Shweta, so we talked about a security policy. What about the security of the devices themselves? What can we do there?
Let me show you what we do that, and we achieve that with Live Protect today. So let's get into a live demo for that. Now, we'll look at that same exact network, right? And when a new security advisory is released, Nexus Dashboard automatically identifies the risks and displays those advisories in this panel right here. Now, when I click on this advisory here, it immediately identifies and highlights all the systems that are exposed to that vulnerability, right? And it also enables us to apply a compensating control on that vulnerability. So I can do that by clicking here on Actions. Now, what I can do is I can apply the shield by clicking on Deploy in Protect Mode. So let's wait for that shield to get applied. And there. The systems are now fully protected.
All right, let's take a second and realize.
Let's explain this for a moment, because this is a fundamentally different model than what most others are following.
Yeah, what Shweta just did is she made an important security change to a switch in production without disrupting, slowing down, stopping, or rebooting that switch.
Zero downtime.
Zero downtime.
And basically, does a compensating control replace a patch?
Absolutely not. So if there's one thing you listen to in this room and remember, a compensating control does not eliminate the need to patch. It's a bridge between patches. And so at Cisco, we're going to do our part to make those upgrades easier and like more frequent and able to take smaller steps. But then we have a unique capability like Live Protect that is the bridge between upgrades. And that's the new operating model for the post-Mythos world.
And so just so everyone fully understands this, the time from when a vulnerability is announced to when an exploit occurs now, that time is compressed down to hours or minutes.
Yes.
But it takes about 40, 45 days for an organization sometimes to go out and patch. We collectively as a community have to make
45 days to patch? Yeah, on a good day, right?
only for 20% of the total number of vulnerabilities you might have,
Right.
because people don't have enough resources.
Right.
So we have to collectively reduce the amount of time it takes to patch. But in the meanwhile,
Yes.
you actually now have a mechanism to go out and stay safe and secure.
Yes, our design intent is that once you get comfortable with these shields, that you let them go in auto mode and they just deploy.
Right.
So we take the human out of the loop and we can put these immediate controls in place, but you still need to patch, right? And we're going to continue to make that easier and smoother. Okay, that's really super impressive. Shweta, so let's assume that a customer is running a heterogeneous environment, and even though they have Live Protect running on switches, there are so many vulnerabilities in this post-Mythos world, we just have to assume that attackers have gotten in. And zero trust principles have always held that. It's more true now than ever before. So let's add some segmentation of the network. Can you show us what it would take to insert a firewall into this architecture?
All right. Let me insert a firewall for you, Tom. So it's the exact same network where you're talking about, right? And now, traditionally, if I have to insert a firewall between my AI pod workload and legacy app workload today, what that requires me is to connect a third-party firewall appliance and hairpin all my east-west traffic to that firewall.
Okay, so G2, hairpins were an important feature of hairstyles in the 1950s. But Shweta...
I never used it even back then. I was bald.
Yeah, well, so not for you and I, but for some of us. Shweta, from a networking standpoint, how do we feel about the hairpin?
Tom, I have to say this to you. I have 2 daughters. Hairpinning is not fun.
No,
either for them,
it's dead, right?
Not for the network. But I'll tell you why it's not fun for the network, right? It creates multiple challenges on the network itself. The first thing, we see an additional latency here, a latency penalty as a result of that extra hop that we have now added to the fabric. There's a lot of complex routing that we'd have to worry about now to and fro that device. And of course, it also brings down the fabric performance significantly because now we have created a single choke point there for all our traffic, right, with the firewall. Now, let's compare this with our smart switch DPU architecture, right? Now, I'll go back to Cisco Cloud Control, and what I do there is I define a security policy that says, insert a layer 4 stateful firewall between that same AI pod and legacy applications. I define that policy in Cisco Cloud Control, and apply that policy, and once I do that, there. Now the security is fully infused inside the fabric directly via the DPU.
Ooh, so you just showed us proof positive that you can get rid of the hairpin and still be cool, right?
No additional appliances, no hairpinning, and no complex routing. That's right.
We've taken so much friction out of the process of deploying firewalls that it's going to allow our customers to be able to put lots more little tiny firewalls throughout the infrastructure and contain the damage if there is a breach to occur in this post-Mythos world. So this is another example of the power of the platform, delivering simplicity without sacrificing sophistication. And the way we do it is with a unique form of hardware. So Shweta, that box next to you, what is that?
This is our Nexus 9K Smart Switch that's powered by our E100 Silicon One ASIC that's running both the NPU and the DPU components.
So the big chip on the right, that's Silicon One, and the smaller chips there, those are DPUs. And this is a perfect example of what you talked about yesterday. Having the ability to have the full stack, the silicon, the software, the systems, all pulled together, that's what allows us to deliver the simplicity of a smart switch where we can integrate security into the fabric of the network.
Amazing work, amazing work. Do we think that Shweta is a rock star?
Yeah.
I think she is. Well, thank you, Shweta.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shweta.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, G2.
Take care. So that was AI-ready data center. Next, let's actually go talk about future-proof workplaces. And there's so much to talk about in future-proof workplaces, and there's no one better than Anurag Dhingra, who runs our entire workplaces business, including collaboration and networking. Anurag, come on up, buddy. How are you, man?
Good. How are you, Jitu?
So what are you going to show us?
Exciting day for us.
It's an exciting day. It's an exciting couple of days.
It is. So yesterday, DJ showed Cisco Cloud Control and the amazing capabilities it has. He talked about AI Canvas. He showed a troubleshooting example. But Cloud Control can do way more than that. So what I'm going to talk about is 3 other things. And the idea here is, how do you move on the autonomy dial and let the system take care of several things itself? So I'm going to talk to you about ambient agents that are constantly on and monitoring the system. I'm going to talk about actions that agents can take. So it's not just about troubleshooting and giving you information. They can actually change config. They can fix things. And then a very critical piece is, how do you make those changes safe in production? And this is where the digital twin comes in. We're announcing that here at Cisco Live. It's an amazing capability for humans to pre-validate changes, but agents can use that too. And then when you connect it all, you then extend that into an autonomous agentic loop where you can start to hand over certain tasks to agents.
And this is such a breakthrough, because what you've done basically is said, I'm going to have these agents working on my behalf all the time in the infrastructure, number one.
Yes.
Number two, those agents will do deep reasoning and be able to figure out what can be done so that if I find some problem, I can respond and remediate that problem.
Right.
But I'm not just going to go ahead and implement the policy. I will spin up a digital twin, pass live data through it, make sure that the policy doesn't break anything, and if and only if I feel comfortable, then go ahead and make sure that I deploy the policy.
Exactly, and that is very important, because we want the customers to be able to choose what they delegate and when they feel confident in delegating. And these tools that I'm going to show you in a demo, they build up that confidence over time. You know, you can have full autonomy today, but are you ready for it?
Right.
How do you trust the agents? And that's really what this is going to show you.
So you're going to make sure that you give customers the choice to say, hey, if you want to go fully autonomous, have at it.
Exactly.
But if you want to actually make sure that you have the agent earn your trust,
Yes.
do that before you do it. And that's a choice that you can all individually make by yourselves.
Exactly, that's the idea. And so we're going to show that all in a live demo. We're going to move over there in just a minute.
Okay.
You're going to help me with the demo.
I'm going to help you with the demo.
Here's the scenario. You and I and our digital coworkers are going to set up a video conference room. And we're going to do it all in Cisco Cloud Control.
All right.
And you know, our collab team has amazing agentic AI for people. They build really beautiful devices. They have new devices they're announcing here. So why don't we take a look, and then we'll jump into the demo.
Let's take a look.
The future of work is here. People and AI working side by side across every space with our intelligent devices. Cisco makes it easier than any other vendor to manage your spaces. With Cloud Control, you spend less time managing infrastructure and more time driving impact. Turn data into real decisions about how spaces are used in Workspace Advisor. Deploy devices in minutes with zero-touch provisioning, like the RoomKit Pro G2, which simplifies setups with AV over IP architecture that connects everything over a single cable. The Desk Pro G2, which turns every desk into a fully capable meeting environment. And the Board Pro G3, providing an all-in-one system for integrating AI into every brainstorm. All of these devices work with any meeting platform your teams already use. Plus, Cisco ships AI agents directly on these devices, like Director or Note Taker, powered by the latest NVIDIA chipset, always on, always working alongside your teams. That's the power of Cisco.
Awesome. So let's make agentic ops real, shall we, Jeetu?
Let's do it.
So like I said, we are going to set up a video conference room. Now our team has tried to help us by already installing this amazing Board Pro G3. All of these accessories are also installed. Jeetu, all that's left for us is to plug in this switch and configure
I'm going to do the hard work. I'm going to plug in the switch.
Is it connected? Okay, you know, it's weird to have your boss as your sidekick and plugging cables for you. Like, it's a weird feeling for me. Okay, so
everyone's not confused. I'm actually the one working for you, my friend.
all right, let's keep going here. So everything is connected, and now it's time to configure the connectivity so these devices can talk to each other. So we're going to do that in Cloud Control. I'm already logged in, as you can see here. The first thing I'm going to do is navigate over to the workplace networking part of the product. And DJ showed this yesterday. Everything that we have in the Cisco portfolio is integrated natively. Now, if you've ever used the Meraki dashboard before, this will feel very familiar, instantly familiar to you. And typically, you would look up the switch and you'll start to configure it. But instead of doing that manually, I'm going to ask the AI assistant to do that, because this is all about leveraging our digital coworkers. So let's go ahead and ask the AI assistant to configure the VLANs, the switch ports, everything that needs to happen here. And Jeetu, one thing that I want to talk about is one of the ways you make agents part of your team is you want to make sure they follow the same processes that you have.
Yeah, so you have a workflow thing. Can you explain what a workflow is?
Exactly. So workflow is a way to automate routine tasks. Most teams have a standard procedure for operations. They have a runbook. You can turn those into workflows. I'll show you in just a second, but I want to keep going. This AI assistant seems to have found one workflow that's defined for my org.
Right.
It's also telling me there are some other pre-canned ones available. I'm just going to pick the one that's built specifically for us because that's the most relevant. So we'll just keep going. And this workflow has a few steps. Like I said, you have to configure some switch ports, you have to configure VLANs. So I'm just gonna ask the assistant to go ahead and execute that. And while it's doing that, let's take a look at what a workflow looks like. So what you're seeing here in the flow chart is a sequence of steps, config changes, wrapped in some logic. This is actually the exact workflow that the assistant is running for us right now. And creating something like this is super simple. Like I said, if you have a run book or a standard operating procedure, you have these widgets in a palette on the left. You can drag and drop them, or you can just describe in natural language what you're trying to do, and the AI will generate a workflow for you.
So basically, a workflow is a runbook that you're using that makes your non-deterministic models behave in a much more deterministic way for predictable outcomes that you want to go out and drive.
Exactly, and that's sort of the one end of the autonomy dial that I was talking about, and I'll show you how you can go to the other side, but the first step here is if your human coworkers follow a runbook, why shouldn't your digital coworkers do the same thing? And that's how it does that.
What if you don't have a runbook?
Yeah, so the agents are smart. If they don't find a predefined workflow, they will generate one on the fly. And they will use the same capabilities that I'm showing you here. They will save that so that it becomes available for your whole organization to use after the fact, and they just become part of your runbook repository.
Basically, recursive self-learning for workflows.
Exactly. All right, let's go back and check on our AI assistant because ultimately we are here to configure our conference room. Okay, so it looks like everything is configured, everything should be online, and my board should be now fully operational. Okay, this is not what I expected. His link has gone down. So Jeetu, I may have messed something up here. We might be in serious trouble.
Live demos, man. That's the problem.
So, by the way, I'm getting some notifications here on my phone, and interestingly, one of them is from an ambient agent. So why don't I bring it up and show you what I'm seeing here? Okay, so this is the notification that I've just received, and before I actually read or see what's going on, I will tell you, man, like, it looks like we brought down the whole network here because it's a critical incident. This is what happens when
the boss starts to plug in things.
Exactly, this is what happens. But Jeetu, two things to point out here. One, obviously, this came proactively from an ambient agent. So there was an agent that was constantly monitoring the system, detected an outage and texted me. Second, this is a WebEx messaging interaction.
Right.
You know, if I had a coworker, they would probably message me about this.
Or what if I was using Slack or Microsoft Teams?
The same pattern holds. You know, any messaging system, Slack, Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp, iMessage, whatever you have, the idea is these agents are collaborating with us just like your humans would. And you know, by the way, if I were away from the laptop, I could just continue the conversation on my phone. But because I'm here, I want to just project so that everyone can see. And just eyeballing this, it looks like the config change that we made was not the problem. I made a rookie mistake that hopefully many of you can identify with. This switch was operational somewhere else in the network. I brought it here, plugged it in, and that created a loop in the network, and the spanning tree protocol is telling me that's the instability, that's really what brought down the network. And you know, this message from the agent is telling me that the agent has already done that root cause analysis. So it went into a deep reasoning loop, came up with a remediation as well, and it's feeling very bullish. It's telling me that it has high confidence in this assessment, but I want to double check its homework. I'm not just going to trust that. So we go back into cloud control, because I want to make sure I understand why this agent thinks this is the root cause. So let's go back into cloud control, and I'll switch into this area of cloud control called agentic actions. Think of this as the mission control for supervising your agents. It's right here in cloud control, and as we can see on the left here, an incident was automatically created by the agent. And on the right, it has the exact same summary that I got in the WebEx message. And as you can see, this is where the confidence level in the root cause analysis is. The agent has also come up with a remediation, but before I go to remediation, I want to scroll down here and see its reasoning log. So I can see that it looked at the telemetry, it saw STP messages, and then it went to the root cause, and then it figured out which port was causing that. And I feel pretty good about this reasoning. And the remediation comes with the risk assessment, just like the confidence in the root cause analysis, the remediation has a risk score as well. Our network is already down, so I'm going to accept this risk. I've seen this problem before. It's a fairly straightforward change. So I'm just going to go ahead, Jeetu, and accept the recommendation, apply the changes. Let's try to bring the network back online.
All right. We only have 20,000 people in the audience, so let's hope it works.
Let's do. Now, one thing why it's working, Jeetu, I want to talk about is, this was a fairly straightforward change, and I've actually run into this problem before. What if this was a more complicated change? Like if this was something complex or something I had not seen before, I would not just trust this. I would actually use a digital twin to pre-validate my changes, right? So we talked about that. Let's take a look while the AI is working here. So what you're seeing here is a one-for-one virtual copy of one of my networks. This is not.
This is a digital twin.
This is a digital twin of my network. This is not a mathematical model. This is not a simulation. Every single node that you see here is a virtual copy of a real switch in my network. It is running the same iOS XE version. It's running the exact same configuration as my network. And this gives me an opportunity to test out complex changes. And it's really easy to test things in your digital twin. I can just click over to the validations here. And when I go there, I can describe in natural language what I'm trying to test. So for example, I'm trying to upgrade an image. I can test that here. The AI will generate the right test cases for me, and I can execute them. So you can see on the right is a previous run that I did. I was trying to make some access control list changes, and the AI helped me come up with these test cases automatically, and I was able to validate that those ACL changes won't break any of the flow in my network. So Jeetu, let's go back to our agentic system and see what happened with the remediation. Okay, there we are. It looks like the problem was resolved. Everything should be back online. Now, here is the cool thing that I want you to see. You will see that the reasoning log was automatically updated as well. And now I have this option to automatically run this action the next time.
This is what we were talking about earlier.
This is exactly what we were talking about. This is the autonomy dial. I'm confident in the assessment that the agent reached. The remediation made sense to me. It has recovered my incident. I feel good about just letting the agent handle that in the future. All I need to do is just click here, and this type of a problem in the future will automatically be fixed. I won't even have to.
But that is a choice that every company and every administrator can make when they start feeling comfortable. We don't need to force that.
Exactly. So the agents will tell you their confidence level in the assessment of root cause. They will tell you the damage that remediation can cause. And then you choose if you're comfortable handing over control for that category of problems. Yeah. Not just that problem, it's a category of problems that the agent can then start to do autonomously. So that's how we go from a agentic system that humans are interacting with to a completely autonomous system. Okay, so our system should be up, completely online. There's only one more thing left to check. Jeetu, we are setting up a conference room. I want to make sure this is going to give the most amazing audio and video experience as well. And how do we do that? Again, in Cloud Control. The Collab Control Hub is embedded right here, as you can see. I don't have to switch out of this tool. I can stay in Cloud Control. And if I just go to the collab area of Cloud Control.
By the way, this is, you have now moved to the Control Hub, which is the administrative console that manages WebEx.
Exactly.
And you've been able to go there, but it's all within the same interface.
Yeah, and it's all in Cloud Control, no context switches, it's right there. Now I can see everything is online here, and if I just go down here, I can see all the sensors. The lighting seems quite dark here. It was maybe not a good idea to put it in the middle of an arena here, but we can come back and fix that later. I'm pretty confident this device is up. I want to give it a spin. Are you ready for
a shot?
All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, so let's bring up the self view here. Okay, let's go into camera control. Now, you will see this is the built-in camera, and what we just hooked up is the Vision PTZ. So bring that online. All right, there we go. That's the Vision PTZ camera. Everyone, wave, say hello. You're live. All right.
That's fantastic.
Okay. So Jitu, just to recap, here is what we did. We used AI to take some actions, execute a workflow, very predictable. Then I screwed up, but my friend...
By the way, just so you know, he didn't actually screw up. It was part of the script, in case you didn't pick it up. Okay.
You don't have to ruin the demo. So when things went wrong, a friendly agent was already monitoring that, and it saved us by telling us what happened and how to fix out of that. We talked about digital twin. This is how we make changes safe. And then that gives you the choice of how far you want to go in autonomy, all done through Cisco Cloud Control.
And I just want to make sure I make it clear for the record, I plugged it into the right place.
You did.
All right.
Thank you. So that part is definitely real.
So what are customers saying about this?
Yeah, so a lot of the capabilities that I just showed you to are in the hands of our customers, and we have some of their reactions here. So why don't we hear from them?
Let's take a look.
And we'll move on. Thank you, everyone.
We're spending weeks trying to update the number of properties, the number of networks. It reduced it by almost 98%. You need something to help you do your job better.
Deep reasoning gives me more feedback, more options, more detail.
I was quite impressed by it. I've used it quite a bit since you turned me loose on it, but it really lays out how it got to the recommendation at the end.
Experience metrics, I can't say enough about experience metrics. That is a game changer for us in regards to operations. What's interesting with Ambient Agent is I go in there now, and a lot of the things that I would go roam the dashboard looking for problems, it's surfacing them in front of me. Cloud Control is going to be huge, and it'll be a game changer again for us.
The power of deep reasoning, it can't be overstated. It's effectively given me another member of my team. Basically now I've got an expert who's available on hand whenever I need them to help me to solve complicated challenges, overcome security problems that just kind of pop up, anything I need when I need them.
Anurag Dhingra, folks. Give him a big round of applause. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Ethan.
All right, we now come to digital resilience, the third part, which is all around how can we keep infrastructure resilience in place. And Kamal Hathi actually runs our Splunk business. Come on up, Kamal.
Hey, thanks, YouTube.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I need to get a Splunk t-shirt. I've never gotten one. You had me at resilience.
That's the tagline.
That's the tagline, sorry.
Yeah. So,
can I get one? Do I know someone who can get me one?
Let's see how the demo goes and we'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
What are you going to show us?
So first, it's amazing to be here. Great to be in this amazing event. And we have a ton of new announcements and innovations. And what we want to do today is really sort of paint in living color and show in action demos of some of these things. And the way we're going to do it is focus on three things in three categories. The first one is what you talked about before as well, is to operate at machine scale. Right? So, because with agentic systems, with AI, data is just coming in, there's a lot going on, and the scale is just becoming literally insane. So we're going to operate at machine scale. The second thing we're going to talk about is how to use that same data and allow us to respond to these threats that are continuously coming in. Post-Mythos world, things are happening fast, to respond at machine speed with agentic solutions. And the third part is to take the same exact data, the same visibility, unified view, and unlock trust in AI itself. Right? That's the three things we're going to focus on.
Awesome.
Now, Jitu, in yesterday's keynote, we saw today as well, cloud control is amazing. You and DJ showed some fantastic things. But adding Splunk in, I think, will supercharge what cloud control can do. Unifying data across application, network, infrastructure, even AI, all in one place, is what's really impactful. So for that, I've got my friend Patrick Baumgartner, who's going to show us an amazing demo to take us through that.
Right. Patrick, what does your t-shirt say?
It says observability, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today. All right. So when we're talking about responding at machine scale and machine speed, there's two key capabilities we really got to take care of. First, we need to be able to access all of our data from a single unified point, because the second thing we need to do is unleash AI on top of all of that data. And really a key ingredient that, and we're delivering both of those things right in Cloud Control. And a key ingredient to that is Splunk. And we're using Splunk to power the Cisco Data Fabric. which brings all of not just your cloud control data into a unified location, but also lets you access all of external data from all these different silos as well. And so we could open up Splunk here, but we can also power some really cool applications. And like DJ said yesterday, we've built some apps for this. So one of the experiences we care about is understanding how the health and performance of key services and applications are running. And so we have an application for that, which is bringing together all of the data from both the network layer, application layer, and infrastructure layer, all into a single unified pane of glass so I can see what's going on. And in fact, I can see here I've got a streaming application that's a key customer experience for us. It's unhealthy, it's got high app latency, but because we can unify all of this data down into one place, I can get a full 360-degree view. So I can see my Kubernetes infrastructure is actually healthy, but there's still something else going on. So we want to go investigate this a little bit further. So Kamal, how do you think we should investigate it?
I mean, Jitu, I got to channel my inner DJ today.
All right.
And what do you think we should say?
What do I say about inner DJ?
AI Canvas.
AI Canvas,
That's what you're going to do.
So we're going to come in here.
I thought you were going to say cloud control.
AI Canvas in cloud control. How's that?
Okay, cool.
Did I say cloud control?
Cloud control.
Good.
And so I've got an alert here about a degraded experience from Meraki, and I'm just going to click Collaborate in Canvas. And this is going to do something pretty awesome. Because we have all of this data unified, and now AI Canvas can talk to Splunk, it's going to run a root cause analysis that can correlate that alert across my infrastructure data, my application data, all the different data silos I have. And it can start trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. And if I was doing this myself, I'd have to be opening up different dashboards. I'd have to be talking to different teams. It could take hours, maybe even days to figure out. And instead, in about 30 seconds here, the AI went ahead and figured out if it looks like it's a network path to an application issue. I can see the blast radius of the different spots around the world that are located. And of course, I've got a full analysis of the investigation. So I get an executive summary that's telling me it looks like it's outside of our infrastructure. It's something between the ISP and our apps. And just like that, we've taken data from tons of different silos, unified it together, unleashed AI on it, and really taken hours of work down to, in this case, about 45 seconds. It's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
Big round of applause for Patrick.
Thank you. Now, the thing to note here, as Patrick said, this would have taken literally hours.
Right.
And not only hours of work, but more importantly, there's multiple teams, multiple silos, lots of finger pointing. And here, it was quick, was simple, and it just worked.
And it had cross-domain telemetry that actually got correlated together in AI Canvas.
And that's the power of combining Splunk with cloud control.
Cloud control.
Right?
Cool.
So now, the same machine data that we have been talking about is really important to unlocking this ability to respond at machine speed. And you talked yesterday a lot about the challenges that are being faced by security operators.
Right.
There's a deluge of these alerts coming in. There's a lot of requirements they need to meet. And here we need to fight this fire of agentic attacks with agentic responses. So what we have for that is what we call the agentic SOC. And so what we want to do now is have Lauren join us and show us the agentic SOC in action.
Hey, Lauren, before you start, the one thing that I think is going to happen, Kamal, in the future is, in a matter of a few months, a SOC that is not agentic won't even make any sense.
That's right. Yep. That's absolutely correct.
Sorry, Lauren.
No, thank you, Kamal and GC.
I love the color.
Thank you so much. I am going to talk about another problem that Cisco Cloud Control can solve. Now, we all know that with the volume of attacks flooding the SOC, and with AI-enabled attacks generating even more of them, humans simply cannot keep up. So when an agentic SOC, the agents do the work. Let's take a look at a case where AI autonomously triages and remediates a real threat on my behalf. So we're starting here in Splunk Enterprise Security, fully integrated into Cloud Control. Right away, we see a summary of the work that the agents have already completed. And remember, this is happening 24/7. The triage agent's job is to cut through all this noise, and it determined that 92% of these findings were false positive. So it surfaced the real threats to the top. We're going to take a look at this finding impacting Mia Chen. Now, the triage agent has already determined that this is a true positive, and it's already given us more context behind why it even came to that conclusion. So we can see a summary of what it's done. We see the justification, the tools that it used. Notice, the AI is using both Cisco and third-party tools to come to its conclusion. And we also can see the evidence that it gathered. We understand that a file was downloaded from the web, and immediately after, there was some connections made and a new process chain was kicked off.
Right.
That's pretty common with social engineering attacks, right? After the payload ran, the machine started making periodic callbacks to a rare command and control infrastructure. At that point, the agent confirmed with Cisco Talos' reputation that it was indeed a known issue. It's pretty amazing, right? Come on.
I mean, it's pretty good. But I mean, you have a set of agents working for you. So what else can we find out? What else can they do?
There's absolutely more. We have the guided response agent that has already scoped containment and remediation based on our organization's standard operating procedures. We see that the agent has pulled evidence from Cisco Identity Intelligence and Exposure Analytics, and it has determined that Mia Chen is an intern with no privileged roles, and her device has low business criticality. At that point, based on this context, the agent automatically executed containment. And the first thing it did was isolate the host from the network using EDR, and it blocked the malicious IP with SASE. The agent even went on to create a ticket for the help desk to contact the user and coordinate device recovery. This entire threat was triaged and remediated by agents in minutes. That is the agentic SOC in action. Thanks, Kamal and G2.
You know, good job. I've seen this demo a couple of times in rehearsal. Every time I hear Lauren do it, I get more excited.
There you go. That's what we want, G2 to be excited.
There you go.
All right. So look, but this is really important. What Lauren showed us was a set of agents, we only showed a couple of them, running 24/7. And they are doing the hard work of helping this overwhelmed SOC operator. But also, really, really important, as Lauren showed, there's a whole set of verifiable detail that is there to help the human operator gain trust in the agent, and via that now delegate the tasks.
Right.
That is a critical part of what happens.
The whole notion of trusted delegation is so important.
That's right. Now, talking of trust, now you and I talk to a lot of customers, and one thing that keeps coming up over and over again is, how do I trust my agents? How do I trust this AI? What do I do about it? And so we've been investing a lot in this idea of observability for AI itself. Mm-hmm. And a big part of that was recently we acquired this company, Galileo, and yesterday you introduced some of the founders. And so today we've got Atin, who's a co-founder for Galileo, who's going to show us Galileo in action.
Here's the crazy part. This is Atin's second day at work.
That's right.
This is typically how we do orientation. Come in front of 20,000 people and start doing demos.
And he doesn't even have a Splunk t-shirt.
Doesn't have a Splunk t-shirt yet.
We'll get him one soon enough. So Atin, welcome to Cisco. Second day, you got your badge. Show us what Galileo can do.
Well, firstly, thank you. And in 2 days, I've realized we clearly also onboard at machine speed. All right, so I'm here to talk about agents and trust. So AI agents, as you know, they've clearly evolved from simple chatbots answering questions to multi-agent systems making critical decisions in production. But the big question is, how can you observe and control these agents and trust them to do the right thing? I'll show you how. So here, what you see in front of you is an agentic e-commerce application. It has multiple agents running behind the scenes. You can buy things. Sarah, who's a customer, recently purchased a pair of headphones which stopped working. So she goes to the Volt agent and asks it to pull up a receipt. Now, behind the scenes, this triggers a multi-agent system. It does a user lookup, a policy check, and decides to issue Sarah a refund. Once this completes, you'll see that. So yes, here, so first she sees the receipt. So she confirms that these are indeed the headphones she purchased and that she paid $700 for it. So now she asks for a refund. Now this triggers the refund agent. It'll do the usual user verification, It'll make sure that the product is eligible for the refund, and finally decide to issue Sarah a refund of $1,200.
That's a good deal. We should do this all the time.
Yeah, I think Atin's previous startup kind of went bankrupt because of this.
Exactly, had to start all over again.
Yeah.
So for the audience who didn't notice, 1,200, it's clearly higher than what Sarah paid for. And while this makes Sarah happy, imagine if this was your business. And when millions of such transactions happen with agents every day, agent trust becomes critical. So this is where Splunk's agent observability platform comes in. Now today I'll show you three things. How do you identify these kind of nuanced issues agents make in production? How do you measure them? And then how do you prevent them from happening at runtime? So what you see in front of you is what we call the agent graph. Now this gives you a bird's eye view of your entire agent system, every single tool call, every LLM call, including deep analytics and telemetry into each component, as well as the paths taken by the agents. Now, agents fail in nuanced ways. Something we offer is signals. Now, signals are designed to surface the unknown unknowns, the things that you did not expect the agents would do. So if I zoom in here, you see Splunk immediately identified refund issue mismatches, something that we just saw. So you step into this, it gives you a clear description of what happened, a suggested action, and if you want to apply this to all your agents, you go ahead and create a metric. Now the system will give you an optimized prompt, you choose the model of your choice, all these are set for you, and now in one click you have a metric. This is why we do live demos and not slides.
All right, I guess the agent was checking up what's going on there itself. So, but yeah.
All right, we're through. So now you see that we created a metric, and now you can apply this to all your past and future interactions, but also you can apply this to any agent. So now I've already created a refund compliance metric here. So let me show you that in action. So if you go to our logs, over here you can see the refund compliance metric starting to flag every single interaction as compliant or not. But not only do you get a value, but you also get an explanation why. Now, if you notice here, it cost you 12 cents just to do this one transaction.
That's an expensive token cost.
It's a little bit expensive. And when you have millions of transactions happening, these techniques simply don't scale. And what you really need are metrics that are able to give you the same level of accuracy, but dramatically cheaper and faster. This is where Luna comes in. Luna is Splunk's small language models, which are designed to give you the same level of eval accuracy as LLMs, but are 95% cheaper and millisecond latencies. So over here, if we go to our control store, I already have a control powered by a Luna model. So all I do is enable this, go back to my agent, and try to reissue the refund. You'll see now that the control will trigger. It will steer the agent in the right direction at machine speed. And now Sarah gets the amount that she's owed. So to summarize, we did three things. We identified an issue, we measured it continuously, and then we applied it at machine scale to steer agents to safe responses. That's Splunk agent observability for you.
And by the way, what you also did was you made sure that the economics of this were better because you moved it to a model that was a small language model. So you were able to make sure that it didn't have a 12-cent per transaction cost, and you actually reduced that cost dramatically.
Absolutely. I mean, people are worried about their agent tokenomics. I mean, wait till they see their eval costs. So these are 98% cheaper.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Awesome.
That's pretty amazing for day 2 on the job.
Yep.
Atin, thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Atin. Now back to work, rest of the week. One more thing to point out here, GD, very quickly, that not only is it cheaper, it's faster, but it does 100% of evaluation. Most other techniques can use regular off-the-shelf LLMs and try to do the same thing. People do sampling because they can't afford it. It's not fast enough. That doesn't work. with Galileo, you can do this, and only with Galileo, and that is something
the full
unique
coverage
to us. Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Kamal.
you so much, Jitu.
So
Appreciate
excited.
it. Thank you
Big
for the
round of
water.
applause for Kamal. Okay, so let's wrap up. What have you seen today? What you've seen is, firstly, the power of the platform really coming into play, because every single product you saw is now being able to get executed right within Cloud Control. You have cross-domain telemetry, you can troubleshoot, you can set policy, you can observe, you can go across data center, future-proof workplaces, and have infrastructure resilience. What you should know is we will have every single acquisition we make, every new product that we build, will actually start and only be within Cloud Control. So that's the commitment that we have to you. We're going to simplify. There you go. Go ahead. Thank you. We're going to simplify operations and completely reimagine it for you. Look, we're so honored that you take your valuable time and come here and spend it with us. We hope this was worth your while. This is an exciting time for Cisco. More importantly, we hope it's an exciting time for you as we partner with you. And we hope that these capabilities that we're building allow you to do your life's best work for your customers. Thank you again for being here. Take care.